So one of the values of the Green Party, it's kind of a sleeper value. We don't talk about it enough, I think, is future focus, right? And so let's look into the future a little bit. We don't have a crystal ball, but let's think about, it is now the end of the race. It's August. We've qualified, right? We have 1,500 Maryland residents, permanent residents or citizens, who have donated to the campaign. We've raised $120,000, and of course we want to go well above those goals, so that there's no room for discreditation. Yes, we'll take a preemptory bow here. So it's August. We've qualified. What now? I mean, you mentioned advertising. Obviously, that's part of it. But what else do we want to do with this money? Which, by the way, if I understand correctly, is not from taxpayers, but is actually based on fees and fines of other politicians who have gone awry, right?
I believe that's the case. I believe that it is based mostly on fees and fines of filing fees, of people who took money from a PAC they weren't supposed to, from people who didn't report things. I think that's where most of the money comes from. There may be some funding from the General Assembly in there, but I think it's mostly those fines and those fees. So once we get that, if we get that, and it is August and we get that check, I think we need to have a team strategic discussion about what that looks like. But I think we get to hire people to knock on doors and lead canvas teams across the state, something no third party campaigns have had before us. I think we can send out mail to targeted groups of voters, independents, and young people, and folks who we think might be likely to support the Green Party in this election. And I also think that we can organize and engage with the core Greens across the state. There's 5,000 Greens across the state. And if we could get every one of those folks to vote, then not every one of them is going to vote, but if we can get turnout amongst those folks up, if we can get excitement amongst those folks up, the political science on this says that when a third party has an activated base, like I think that we can do this year, that third party performs above expectations, performs above polling, and surprises people on election day. So when we get that money, I think we're going to have whether we get that money or not, I think we're going to have a multi-pronged strategy that involves people in communities talking to other people at doors, at fairs, at festivals. It's also going to include some television advertising. Some of this digital advertising on these streaming services is way cheaper than it ever used to be. And I think we can do a lot of that. It's going to involve targeted mailings, it's going to involve digital ads, and it's going to involve putting a lot of people to work. I think it's really important to point out that the reason we raise money is not so that we can host lavish parties, it's so that we can put our friends and comrades to work at a time when the economy is really bad and there's not a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who've been laid off from jobs that are never coming back. And if we can put them to work on our campaigns, spreading the word about democracy and the potential for multi-party governments and grassroots democracy in the state of Maryland, I think we make a real significant push to get the kind of capacity in the party we need in order to win Baltimore City elections down the road, to win Prince George's County elections down the road, to push for ballot initiatives down the road. None of this is the end. All of it is a work in progress where we build an infrastructure and we construct a new world in which it is possible to get different outcomes than the ones that we have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about all that. But I think especially hiring folks, right, who have been, a lot of them either do this work for free or for less than they probably should be earning for alternative or radical political organizing, or they make compromises with their values and work for campaigns that can afford to pay what they're worth, right? And so the opportunity of having over $500,000 to be able to hire people who are talented, who have experience, and who know how to run field operations, for example, and have them be part of the core team for the past 100 days, have folks who are going out door knocking, being able to compensate them fairly if they're looking for compensation. That's really exciting. And that, I think, also is a game changer, because when the only games in town that can afford to pay for the most part are Republicans or Democrats, that creates a center of gravity that pulls people in because people got to eat, right? People want to be compensated for their labor. And this is why this is a game changer, because people whose values are aligned with us, but are living within, our current stage of capitalism and need to pay the bills, can now get paid working for a campaign that aligns with their values.
Yeah, totally. And, I wrote a series of newsletter articles about this summer. Dr. Bernard Tomas, who wrote a book, so Rhodes Scholar, big academic, who wrote a book called The Demise and Rebirth of American Third Parties. He talks about this resource issue that we talked about a little bit earlier. And it is not just the resources to get into the media. It is the resources to hire the qualified people who are value aligned with us and to bring them in and to build that capacity within the party. Too often, green campaigns that have a hard time raising money look badly on raising money and hiring people because they say like politics is a grift or something like that. And I understand that perspective, but as long as we operate in that perspective, we're going to continue to lose young and talented people who come into the party and want and have an opportunity to help us build it and grow it, but get sucked out of it because capitalism being what it is, people have to eat, people have to survive. So we are trying to break that cycle and break down that wall that stops us from being able to have the resources to employ the people who become the future candidates, who help us build the bench, who help us do the local organizing and things like that. If we can consistently use this public financing money in order to hire people and to create an ecosystem of organizers, we can really move toward that multi-party vision and not be stuck in this world where we hope everybody will volunteer or take our meal at the vegan fast food place as compensation for the hours and hours of labor they're doing, while Democrats and Republicans are offering them living wages in order to run their campaigns.
Yeah. No, it would be huge. So let's move a little bit further into the future. We talked about kind of what the last 3 months of the campaign would look like if we qualify. We're about to talk about some other goals that we set. Some of them are related to money, some of them are not. But what does 2027 and beyond look like for the Maryland Green Party, or for Green parties and radical movements, radical political electoral formations around the country that are looking at our campaign? What does the future look like if we are able to hit this first goal of qualifying for campaign finance that we're discussing, and then use that and the other resources and strategies we have to hit some of the other goals that we're about to talk about? What's the future look like beyond this campaign?
Yeah, so our friend and my mentor and a Green who passed too early, Kevin Zeese, in 2020 described the 2020s as a decade of transformation. And he said that what we have coming before us is a decade of transformation where the way that things look going into the 2020s is going to be different at the end of the 2020s. I frankly think that the COVID pandemic and the Biden presidency stalled the progressive ability to move that transformation in a positive direction. But I think our campaign and a bunch of other campaigns that are happening in 2025 and 2026 have the opportunity to help us bring it back toward a progressive world where we are fighting for more justice, more peace, more democracy, and a more ecological worldview. Look, the transformation is occurring. The people, the rich are getting richer. The poor are getting told that they can beg for food stamps. And the jobs are going away. The education system that we've had in the past is going away. And if we don't have a vision of what a new world looks like, we are going to be transformed, not doing the transforming. And I think that path is a very, very dark one. The one that the two-party system is on right now is a very dark path toward more polarization, more economic inequality, more death, more suffering, and more war around the world. Plus, the climate crisis and the ecological crisis is going to heighten all those things. So I think the opportunity that we provide to people is to see what a future that is a multi-party future starts to look like, to see what alternatives are being excluded from the political discussion right now, and to see what it takes to build the kind of political institutions we may never get to benefit from, but the people who come after us will be able to use in order to build something that is more people-based, more human-based, and help us survive the multiple crises that the world is facing right now. So I don't mean to say that we are the linchpin to the survival of the world, but we are absolutely part of a long struggle of people who did, as Dr. King said, straighten their back and work for freedom, because that is what we need to do right now. We need to get ourselves free from this two-party system that is ruled by the corporations and the elite and build something better that we can use, that generations after us can use, in order to transform the world to be more just, more peaceful, more democratic, and to survive the ecological crisis we face. That's what Kevin was talking about when he said this is a decade of transformation, and that is what we need to lean into and help build, so that so once we're done with this, other people feel like this is a baton that they can pick up, take forward, and make the changes that we need in order to survive.